So this is a new guitar. I think there's a little bit cheaper Squires. So again, Fender tells me 2.57 inches is the length of this route. They did qualify that by mentioning that sometimes bodies are worked a few times through the finish department before they come out. And then of course some are finished in nitro. Certainly not a Squire. This is a poly finish, which is thicker. So it could shrink the cavity up a bit. The Descendant will ship with screws. They are flush mount, flatheads, whatever you want to call. But you know, you can use the screws that come with your guitar. Especially if I back these out and find out that they are shorter or a smaller diameter and you don't want to drill.
Oh, goodness.
So your choice. About the same. Haha, I thought Fender might be wrong. 2.63, that's so much room, it's awesome. It should be no problem at all. The next question is, how deep is it? Inch and 3/8, which is what I would expect. So here's your original factory one. See this guy? You might want to consider using that spring, or you might want the one that ships with the Descendant. Okay, so here's the Descendant. Everything lines up very nicely. So do you want to use the Fender screws or the Descendant screws? Let's use the Descendant screws. So, but real quick, here's Fender's spring, and here's the Descendant spring. You can see we're 1/8 of an inch longer. So all we're going to do, this has 2 shims. We're going to start out with 2. You can always take one out. You do have to have a shim. I'll explain that in another video. Okay, so here come the screws. It's always a good idea to start 1 or 2. Bad things can happen if you screw one screw down tight without any other screw to anchor whatever it is you're screwing down. Because when you get to that final cinching up, it can spin the plate and scratch your finish. So you want another screw to anchor it. I also always put my fingers around a screw like this, pickguard screw, whatever. Because if you slip, you can catch it before it scratches your finish.
Okay. So far so good. Continues it, right? Yeah. So much better.
Okay, so really we're ready to string it up. So here's the deal. I'm out of strings. Imagine that, because I've been stringing things up and down, up and down. out of new strings. But the nice thing about the front loading business here is you can use old strings. You can even use strings that are for a shorter scale, like I must have had this strung up with a Jag instead of a Jazzmaster. So it's very easy. Just go in the center hole. There's a hole between each pair of strings. Slide over to your string line.
I.E. Again, put it in there. Maybe you can see better. It's very quick. Very quick to load strings.
That is a loud tuner. Sounds like an old jalopy. And the arm has a little divot. Slide that in. This is how you adjust it. It's either totally swinging loose. You can feel it when it engages the bearing, and you can get it tight. It's never going to be like a fixed arm Bigsby. You're going to be able to move it, but it's going to stay where you want it to be. So I have not set up this brand new Fender Squire, and I just put used strings on it. Sure, the nut is not awesome. I'm really just trying to show you how to install it. And I'll tweak it out later and do a demo. If you can see now compared to before, remember the ball ends were up about here at this level. And depending on your tension, of course, that guy there, the more tension you add, the less up pull you're going to have, because essentially you're pulling the plate up. So you've got less room to go this way. In fact, in no time, you're not going up. It's a down only. Okay, so I'm going to do a setup on it and do a quick demo with it. You can see here, you've still got a tiny bit of room between that slot. You may also see a bead of solder. I always run a bead of solder on my high E string at the wind. That's kind of a big ugly bead. That's more like a glob. The strings I've used forever. Once I went back to messing around with this, I had an offshore unit and I had a mastery, and then this as well. They just unwind. And I know that there are better brands out there. I just haven't figured out which one I'm going to endorse. Okay, so that's it for now.